Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, a random woman insulted me for not agreeing to watch her child. I'm not your babysitter. Karen believes that offending people is her right. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. A random woman insulted me for not agreeing to watch her child. So I, 26F, was sat on a bench finishing my lunch break when a random woman came and sat next to me on the bench. She has a toddler in a stroller. I'm getting up to walk away and she says, "Excuse me, could you just watch my child for 2 minutes whilst I pop into the shop? It's really hard to get the buggy in there." I felt bad, but sympathetically I said, "Sorry, I'm just going back to work. But this is a fairly safe area, maybe you can keep the buggy outside and bring him, the kid, in with you?" The shopkeeper would keep an eye on the buggy through the window. She looks at me and says in a really mean tone, "But you only work just next door, I can tell from your lanyard, it only takes a couple of minutes." So I just said sorry and went to walk away as I'm literally 2 minutes towards the end of my break when she said, "You probably would have upset him anyway with the state of you." I didn't respond and carried on walking, but it made me feel crap, and on top of this I would have genuinely not minded helping if it wasn't for the fact that I'd have someone breathing down my neck for being late off break, and B, I know the shopkeeper and the area well and have seen countless people leave pushchairs, mobility scooters, etc. outside. It seems so odd that a mom would ask a stranger to watch her child like that. But you got to love the insult at the end, which makes the request even stranger. To me, you did the right thing here. Seriously. I will never understand people that do this with their kids. It only takes about 10 seconds for a child to get abducted. Why on earth would you purposely leave your child with a complete stranger on the street? Some people aren't fit to be parents. Some people still assume that other women are safe. I don't think they're paying enough attention. I'm sorry, but the court ordered me to have no contact with children. But maybe I can make an exception for you? I'm sure it will be fine. Look eager and hopeful while rubbing your hands together. This, except your second sentence is addressed towards the child, for maximum creepy effect. You dodged a bullet, who knows how long she would have been gone or what she would have accused you of when she came back. That's pretty crazy that she would ask a random stranger to watch her child, and I'm sure it would have been longer than just 2 minutes. But she's not a total stranger, she was wearing a lanyard that identified her place of work. To EM, she was staff to be ordered about as needed. She threw a tantrum because the staff got uppity. So she would have a total stranger watch her child, but at the same time she claims to have a problem with the state of you? That's some weird logic right there. You even were helpful with your suggestions and she still insulted you. Hope her kid won't pick up her manners. Also, if you had agreed and something happened to you or the child during those 2 minutes, it would potentially open you up to lawsuits. Don't usually want to see the world like that, but people are crazy. Just to add some more context, I work in community services. Even though I don't work as a social worker, I do office stuff. I think to the woman I wasn't just a stranger, I was a public servant of some type. Which I mean, it doesn't make it okay what she said to me. But anyway, I would hope that's the reason she asked me to watch her child and she wouldn't just ask a random person, emphasis on hope. And what I think she meant by the state of me is that I have visible tattoos and a nostril piercing. I think I'm a very clean and well-presented person, haha. There are different ways out. Prob the best is to ask for her ID, take a photo of it. Then tell her no and report to CPS. You could count on her taking much longer than a minute or two. The kindest way would be to say something like, "I can see you are in a jam, but it is completely inappropriate to ask a stranger to watch your child like this." Most important, try not to let the opinion of someone as obviously mentally ill as this mother affect us. Her opinions are none of your business. That you care about this is a reflection of both your kindness and for the importance for you to develop skills to NGAF what someone like this says. Thinking of her as a Karen or an internet troll may be useful. You have a job and it's not watching her spawn. That is her job. I'm not your babysitter. Okay, so I'm a camp counselor with my sister and I took off this week to help my sister with a college event, meet your roommate thing, which meet your roommate and set up your room a bit before the big move in day and direct family invited. She's in a living community, 8 girls share 4 rooms and in a shared living space, and 5 girls in total showed up and it was pretty tight because their families were there as well. We put the rooms together, went to seminars and all hung out together talking and so on. I decided to skip a seminar and organize some clothes we brought. It was optional and it was about curfews. I noticed 2 parents, college dad and college mom, leave their 3 other kids, 8 to 5 years old, the eldest in college we'll call CG, too. I thought it was weird to leave their young kids alone, but they were all just watching a show on their tablet and seemed fine. They never asked me to look after them and I didn't offer. After an hour of organizing and procrastinating, I was done. I waited 15 minutes because the seminar said only an hour, but I was getting hungry and assumed it's just going over. I texted my parents asking if I can go down to the first floor to get snack from the vending machine and my dad said sure. They were the only vending machines stocked. I looked at the kids before I left and they haven't moved from when their parents left and looked fine. I still felt a little uncomfortable to leave the kids, but their parents did, so I assumed it was fine. 15 to 20 minutes later, I'm back on our level with a snack for me and some drinks/snacks for my family. I saw the group heading back to the room, so I caught up and walked with them. CM and CD looked upset, but I didn't think about it. CM and CD pretty much didn't acknowledge my existence the rest of the time. Most of us agreed to go to dinner together and soon we went. We called ahead a few hours before. 17 in total sat together having regular conversation and it was getting pretty noticeable that they were ignoring me. Then this happened. CG, what did you think of OP's story? It was about my summer camp. CD, it was okay. I'm just surprised she works with kids. My sister, what do you mean? She has all the qualifications and the kids like her. CD, well, she leaves young kids alone unsupervised when they could get hurt. I was going to ignore his comment, but it was too late and my sister is now annoyed. OP, I never do that at work, and how would you know? You never seen me work. CM, stop lying. You left our kids alone to get snacks for yourself. You shouldn't work with kids if you're so careless. OP, you never asked me to look after your kids. You're the people that left your kids. CD, it's your job to look after kids and you left them. CG, Dad, you never asked her to watch them, so they're not her responsibility, plus nothing happened. CM, she had a moral obligation. CG. My dad, he's pissed that they're talking to me like this and he haven't been able to say anything yet. Hey, stop talking to her like this. You never asked her to watch them. You're harassing a child for not taking care of your own responsibilities. Come on, we're leaving. My dad put money on the table as other parents joined on my dad's side, with my mom giving CM and CD glares. CG texting my sister saying how sorry she is, and my sister said it wasn't her fault. We left and ate at our hotel. So, they assumed that you were going to watch their kids? That's pretty freaking stupid. Their poor oldest daughter is finally escaping from being their permanent babysitter. I love that OP has a moral obligation, but CD doesn't. There seems to be a rash of parents who assume someone else should take care of their kids for them these days. I'm a boomer, and while my older kids did watch the younger ones, they knew ahead of time. And got paid for it. CM, stop lying. You left our kids alone to get snacks for yourself. You shouldn't work with kids if you're so careless. Yes, the summer camp where I get paid to watch other people's kids. AM paid to keep them safe. AM paid to teach them crafting. AM paid to lead them in activities. I am paid for a job I applied for, was hired for, was trained for, and have a boss that tells me which kids I'm with each day. You walked out of the room without a word to me. Not my monkeys, not my circus. And I'm not calling your kids monkeys, I'm calling you a monkey. Karen believes that offending people is her right. My name is Marcella, I'm Brazilian, F21. This text will be translated, sorry for the mistakes. I worked with a Karen for a year, I'll call her Mary, okay? Upon joining the company, my boss informed me that I should not listen to what Mary, F43, said. Because he already knew what her reputation was, and 3 employees had already passed through my position in the last year. The last employee did not even complete the probationary period, 3 months. I'm autistic, and I talked to my boss that at some point, I might not pay attention to something if I'm anxious, or I might have a fit of laughter. My boss said it wasn't a problem, that he understood. As the days went by, Mary frequently made comments about my weight, how I looked, how I dressed, nerdy shirt, jeans, and sneakers, and that I wasn't cut out for office work. She complained about everything I did. And one day, in the summer, for those who don't know, hot days can reach 40 degrees Celsius in Brazil, I turned on the air conditioning because it was too hot, and she started screaming. Because she didn't like air conditioning, and that I was disabled, and that disabled people shouldn't even be allowed to work because they bothered other people. And that if it were 10 years ago, there would be no air conditioning there, so I wouldn't be able to work there. I opened a smile and said, it wouldn't be a problem, 10 years ago I was playing with dolls. And she started screaming that I didn't respect her. I even recorded several audios in which she said that my autism was ridiculous, that I was retarded, that I was weird, and other things. Interesting context, in Brazil there is a set of laws called CLT. These laws establish that employers and service colleagues cannot mock, humiliate, insult, or disqualify other employees, or the company can be sued and have to pay compensation, and that employees cannot work shifts longer than 8 hours a day, in addition to the right to 30% paid vacation and 13th salary. In my last month there, she asked me to stop my work and go get documents for her in another sector. She was my colleague, not my boss, so I said I couldn't, because I was too busy, and that I could go get them as soon as I finished my job, if it would help. And the crazy woman just ran and cried, in tears, in the corridor, shouting, guys, I asked Marcella to go get some invoices at the balance and she doesn't want to go, and I don't know why, as if I had attacked her. My boss was bothered and replied, but that's your job, she's doing her job. On my last day there, I called her Karen saying goodbye, Karen, and she didn't understand. My friend and I left laughing. The girl I trained to replace me didn't stay 2 months and asked to leave too. Why is this witch still at the company? She is a huge liability, insulting others, pushing her work on others. OP would have a case to sue her and the company. She needs to be fired ASAP to protect the company from any lawsuits because of her harassment. Not to mention the money she costs the company with having to constantly hire and train new people only for them to leave after a few months. She is a friend of the manager of the company, that's why she was never fired. Why not make a complaint to HR? With all those recorded conversations, she will most likely get fired. Exactly. From the way the boss was talking, they were looking for an excuse. She is a friend of the company manager and the HR employee, they pass cloth, a Brazilian expression for to minimize, on the shit she does. If there's a law against harassment, why didn't you file a complaint? Sounds like it was more than warranted and you had evidence. Because unfortunately we live in a state of Brazil that is known to have many Karens and many Nazis. Autistic people here rarely have their complaints heard. That was me at my last job, and there were 2 people there that were so crazy toxic and just really hated by everybody, and I always said the same thing. Why don't you just get rid of those 2 and half the problems leave with them? Is Mary's employment also protected by some law or other? It could be that the company is unable to get rid of her unless she makes some huge error. No, she's just a dear friend of the company's manager, who always puts his hand on her head no matter what. What country did this occur in? In the US, employers can be sued for allowing a hostile work environment. The lawsuit would cost more than firing her and getting a non-hostile employee, maybe even the manager friend. Brazil. Here we can also sue for maintaining a hostile work environment. However, we live in Santa Catarina, a Brazilian state known for having many Karens and many Nazis. So in my state, basically this is considered common and the lawsuits go nowhere. Why the F don't you sue them? Or at the very least report this and get her fired. She'd be long gone here. I live in a state known for having a lot of Karens and a lot of Nazis. Autistic people here generally don't win lawsuits. There have been other personal occasions where I reported crimes and the authorities laughed in my face for being autistic. Although Brazil is a rich country that values workers, the state I live in is a very bad region to live in when you are part of any social minority. Maybe, but that's here, US, I'm assuming you mean, and not Brazil. Different lands, different laws. It's terrible and unfortunate sometimes, but it is what it is. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.